Greetings and welcome. This is the You Are the Miracle podcast, and I am Cheyenne Kramer, and this is my amazing better half,
Donald Kramer. Hello, everyone.
And we're so excited tonight to be able to bring you a guest. We're always trying to help people understand that we're in a time in history where we just can't afford to have people sitting on the sidelines for all kinds of reasons. I mean, even in church today, the pastor was big on the idea of getting off the bleachers and onto the playing field. And that's what we want more people doing. And there's so many reasons. I mean, so many health challenges stop people. So many financial challenges stop people. And, it's really on us to figure out how to go over, around, and through our challenges and see what we can do to turn them into superpowers for us. So we're thrilled tonight to be able to introduce you to Janice Hurlburt. And Janice is a digital marketing strategist. She's been at this for a while. She's the founder of Confident Marketing Everyday newsletter and proud owner of Janice Hurlburt Online Management. She has been a serial entrepreneur. She's done everything from being a respiratory therapist to architectural draftsman. She co-owned a surveying and engineering company. That's a long ways from respiratory therapist. And she also started a sailboat charter company in Costa Rica. Wow.
I could say that. Wow.
Yes. But now she's able to work from anywhere. And I guess, boy, after you get used to hanging out in Costa Rica, it's a good idea to be able to work from anywhere, right? Yeah. And we are so thrilled because what's really, really amazing when you hear Janice's story is, at the age of 5, her parents found out that she had 80% hearing loss. And that is so huge. I mean, so many people could have just not gone forward with a lot of things in their life and just kind of threw up their hands. But I believe you're going to hear Janice's story and understand that sometimes our challenges can create a superpower for us. So welcome, Janice. We're so happy to have you with us tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We got to jump. Can you hear the sound, the kickback?
No, we're not hearing any feedback.
Okay, I'm hearing a feedback. But you know what? Thank you for inviting me. I'm really thrilled to be here. We only just chat on Zoom a week ago, and we started having this casual conversation. And it was such a nice conversation we had, and you talked about coming up and being a guest. So thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I can't imagine, and I know you've had to go back and do some research because most of us don't remember a lot of what happened when we were 5 years old. But what kind of sense do you have of the challenges that you faced as a 5-year-old that you only had 20% of your capacity to be able to hear?
I really didn't know any different. I just thought everybody else was on the same playing field. When I talked to my sister, she said I never once said that I couldn't hear them. That I pretty much, I don't know how you would, I want to say fake it, but that doesn't sound good. But pretty much I led them to think that everything was fine and that I just intuitively figured things out. I was very observational and watching, and I just worked through it. So I didn't know, and so pretty much I didn't complain, and I was pretty stubborn. I know that. I know they mentioned that. So pretty persistent and determined, if you will. So yeah.
That's amazing. And so so that was the world to you, because apparently this challenge actually was there at birth, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
Okay. So wow. But you tuned in other ways, and it sounds like you developed a lot of other skill sets that a lot of people don't have. To me, one of the greatest gifts that we can give to people these days, especially in the state our planet is in, is the ability to be able to listen deeply to somebody. And I've got to believe that is a huge skill set that you've got that provides a gift to a lot of people. Do you have any sense about that?
I do. I mean, sometimes I don't know. It's just like an energy or something will tell me that that person may be struggling with something, or, I'm feeling like maybe I'm overwhelming them. So I'll step back and take it down a notch if I'm talking about marketing or tech tools.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the other thing that came up while I was doing some research, because I have asked my family only recently, I never brought up or really talked about being hearing impaired. And oftentimes people will say, I didn't know. I didn't know you were wearing two hearing aids. And I said, so what was it like? I mean, when did I actually get a hearing aid? And she said she didn't remember when. But I did some research and I didn't know that a hearing aid came from a transistor. Transistor? So a transistor radio came out in 1954. And so that in 1954 or in the 60s was kind of like an iPad or iPod, like an
Mm-hmm.
iPod of what we have today. So back in the 60s, I would just tell people I had a radio on. And so uh, um, the mold went into your ear, and then you had this wire cord that came down. I had to wear a harness, and the radio was probably like 2 inch by 3 inch. So that's what I wore during the day. And I just would tell people it's a hearing aid. I mean, a radio.
Your radio.
So that was my way of trying to, compress the fact that I was different and wearing something different.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, so that would mean by the time I had gotten a hearing aid was 10 years later after it was developed.
Wow.
So
Wow.
maybe that's why when I was born, it really wasn't around. People didn't know so much about it because it was only out for a few years.
Mm.
So, yeah.
How did that, I mean, once you gained the awareness that, you were a little different than a lot of other people. I mean, what, and you're telling people, I can imagine you being in school and having this radio around your neck, right? I mean, how did that affect you growing up at that point? I mean, did people seem interested in what was going on with you, or was it some of those mean kids out there somewhere?
Wow.
I didn't experience that too much. I think, how we in business, we tend to surround ourselves with people,
Mhm.
that you connect with and they're your advocate or so I think I surrounded myself with people I knew that I could trust.
Wow.
I identified people that I would want to be friends with, and I
Mhm.
would sense that they're good people. They're not going to give me a hard time, those kinds of things. So I think I surrounded myself, but I also kept quiet. Um, what would be, I was not an introvert, but I wasn't an extrovert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You had a
I
thought?
haven't.
I'm just thinking that maybe some of the other kids might have been jealous.
She had
Yeah.
a toy.
Yes. They didn't know what radio. Wow, how you get to do that?
Well, yeah, I definitely was going to play that up. Yeah, definitely.
For sure. For sure. So were there any, I mean, you've had an amazing career. What led you to becoming a respiratory therapist? That sounds like that was the beginning of your career path.
That, back then, it was my parents that said, go in the medical field. It was like one of those things, go in the medical field, you'll always have a job. And so I went to college. I don't know if it wasn't a trade school, but I went at that time, they had a program at a local college. So I went there. And, but after about 7 years, I decided I wanted to do something different.
Wow.
And so I like to draw. And that's when I thought, well, I'll go and do architectural drafting. And that's how that came about. So I pivoted after 7 years. And then when I went to work, so here's another thing about taking initiative. So when I went to school, I actually went to an architectural firm in our town, told him that I was going to be going to school for this and if I could get a job with him. And that when I finished, I didn't care what the pay was going to be. Just get me in. I'll prove my worth. And that's how it evolved to the civil engineering land surveying business, because my husband was a land surveyor. So people would start hearing about it, and then we just thought, well, we were interfering the architect business, and he pretty much said, you guys, why don't you just start your own business? Because you got people coming in while you're working asking for surveying jobs. So that's how that evolved.
Oh
You know,
my
things
goodness.
happen. It was easier, I think, to start a business back in those days. I don't know. It just seemed like it was easier. Or you just, land on the path that you're supposed to go on and stay on it.
Okay. So then you have this other big shift into sailboats. How in the world did that come about?
Well, we had our business for 9 years, and it was something that my ex-husband, decided that was something he wanted to do. And so once he planted the seed that this was what we could do, then I said, okay, let's do it and let's make it happen. Now, it took 9 years before we actually went sailing, because I was taking courses on medicine at sea, how to navigate at sea, cook at sea. I mean, all those kinds of classes that they had at Orange Coast College. And so
Wow.
that's how that came about. Just,
Mm, mm, mm.
it's like for you guys, when you decided to do the RV, and it's not something you take lightly. You have to plan for it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. He did a lot of research
A
before we
lot of
jumped.
research.
Yes.
No doubt about it. Wow. So so now you're in the digital marketing world, and what are your thoughts in terms of how have the skill sets that you've developed as a result of having the hearing challenges, how do you think that's helped you in the marketing world?
Yeah, the curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
I love to research and find out what's going on, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, just to see what's working for others and what's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's nothing wrong with listening to what the other experts have to say.
True.
So I definitely, yeah, I would say curiosity and being patient and persistent on learning new things. Because to me, when something's a challenge, that even interests me even more. So
Wow.
I just motivated to figure it out and figure it out what's the easiest way that would be for my client to be able to do what they want to do with their marketing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, our friend Marty Hack is here tonight. Marty's been big in the career transition world. She's helped a lot of people uh, go from one career
Yeah.
path to another and to an advance. So I'm sure she's finding it interesting.
Yes. She's good at it too.
She
Yes.
I would
is.
love.
She is. Very cool. Um, but to me, being able to hear what is going on in the marketplace, being able to hear at a level where you start to gain understanding of what's going on with other people is so huge. I mean, I'm wondering if you almost take some of these skills for granted now that you have. You might have gone through some challenge in those first 5 years developing them, but there's got to be some advantage that you have. How do you think those kind of skills that you developed put you in at an advantage with other digital marketers? Because there's a lot of them out there.
Well, you need to keep it simple. I think people overcomplicate, and it's really there isn't a magic wand. So everybody's talking about the same principles pretty much, and it's just different techniques, but it's still the same end result.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different for everybody on the same approach, but it's all the same. There isn't a magic wand. It's going to take time to build that audience, and you also have to think about, are you trying to grow a big audience? So, for example, the top influencers, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm not going to say names, but I'm sure we know of a few. Their goal is going to be different than someone that is looking to sell their services or a product on a smaller scale. So for
Mhm.
them, they're going to be targeting a smaller audience
Mhm.
than some of the people we know that's going to be marketing to the mass. And so marketing to the mass is a different technique than marketing for the smaller tribe, if you will. And so in this case, really marketing is about building relationships. So building relationships and connections and collaboration. And of course, you still have to do some of the tech things, but it's all really the same. And just keep it simple. Go with what's comfortable with you.
I was going to say, what about authenticity? That's got to be a biggie in the marketing world. How are you able to help people kind of get to an authentic voice in their marketing?
Good question.
How can I get people to authenticize
An
that? Oh,
authentic
you know,
voice.
okay. So let's say this. I'm going to just put it out there. So if you're talking with someone, if I'm talking with them and getting to learn more about who they are, then that is what is unique. So pull that out. So for example, it could be someone that loves sunflowers. And so you bring in that message of your love of sunflowers. Why do you like sunflowers? So for me, it's sailing. It was always, I bring in the sailing analogy in my content. So when I'm writing content on LinkedIn, I share about some of the stories that happen out sea and then
Mhm.
bring it back with a business lesson with that story. So figuring out what it is that they're passionate about, but in a way of their personality. So for you, it was your RV life and your ministry, right?
Absolutely. Yep. That's a
Mhm.
big piece of it for us, and just trying to help people, get more connected. I talk about getting their heart and their head connected. It's like, business doesn't have to be a totally left brain activity. And my guess is that you
No.
probably have a lot of right brain activity
Mhm.
injected into yours just because of how you grew up.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's important. It's important. And I think a lot of people want to know. I remember an old saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so anytime that you can help people to put that out there in the world, I'm imagining that's a good thing. And again, I've looked at some of your postings and such, and I can sense that you've probably got a very good sense of who your audience is and how you're trying to relate to them. And that's, the more that you can give that gift to other people who are in business for themselves, that's a beautiful thing.
Yes, but I've also been learning that there's a need for people that do take, and I'm not dismissing this at all because it's important for the growth of that person and their business, but taking mastermind classes, coaches, working with a coach, um, taking courses. I mean, how many times have people taken courses and they're like, probably 10 of them, but over the course of time, the one thing that happens is that when they spend that time and invest in a mastermind program or an investing with a coach, at the end of it all, they're still kind of lost to what to do next. They don't know how to do what they've learned. They understand it, but they're not sure how to make it happen. So that's where I'd like to come in with, tell me what you've been doing, tell me what you've learned from your coach, and how can we implement it in a simple way that doesn't feel
Mm.
overwhelming. And so
Mm,
just taking a smaller bite and smaller chunk. And
mm.
so that's
Marketing
what I'm
can be
here.
overwhelming.
Yeah, can be.
So
So
with your business and the services that you offer, help us understand those a little bit better. I know you said in your bio that you've got your newsletter that people can subscribe to. I think you've got a Facebook group somewhere as well. Is that correct?
no,
No,
I don't. But
I
because
thought
the
some kind of
base.
a group.
Oh, well, what I have is the Strategic Marketing Activator Group. So it's not
There.
on a Facebook, but it's more like we get into a group call. And then based on so uh, it came about because of the weekly checklist, marketing check, top of mind marketing checklist. I
Mhm.
started thinking, they're reading this every week. Maybe I should start a group where we can come in together and talk about those checklists. and
Mhm.
how you can implement it and why that those things are important. So
Mhm.
that's how that came about. It's a 6 week or 3 months every 2 weeks, and we just talk about the checklist and all the what. Tell me what you're working on and how can we simplify it. And so that's how that came about. So that's the group, the word group you thought of
Gotcha.
came from
Gotcha.
that.
Well, in terms of your services, are you doing more of like done for you services, or are you more like coaching people how to become their own best marketer?
So for many, many years, it was the done for you. And I still do this with some of the long-term clients.
Mhm.
And I enjoy doing that, but I pivoted to it's only been about a year and a half. So I'm pretty new on getting the word out to
Okay.
people about as a mentor. I call myself as a mentor
Okay.
versus a coach.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha. We're big on mentoring too, and we need more
Yes.
people out here mentoring in the small business arena, especially because I still believe small businesses are the backbone of the country, and we need more people who can help to make sure that more of them survive.
exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Did you have any questions?
No, I'm just fascinated. You know, I know a lot of people out there, any little thing is an excuse for them not to do something.
I know. I know.
And there's no reason not to do something.
That's it.
I
That's
mean,
it.
I,
It's
I
it's more people need to get up and get moving,
that's right.
and you're doing it and doing it on a grand scale with all these different things that you've done. So
You're
we're thrilled to get to know you, Janice. How can people best get a hold of you if they
yeah.
were curious about your marketing services?
I think the best and first step is to sign up for my newsletter. So my newsletter, if you go to the URL, my name, and then marketing dash newsletter, you'll be able to sign up there. And then the checklist is free. The top of mind checklist is something that they can implement and use. And then if they want to sign up for the program, they can. But that would be the first thing. I'd love to be able to share that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it has been amazing to be able to have you share with our audience tonight, and we're so thrilled to have you. And we wish you much, much, much success going
Yeah.
forward with your marketing business and anything else you decide to pursue.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
All
I,
right.
I want you to know I think you're a fantastic person. You're fascinating.
Yeah,
Oh, I
absolutely.
appreciate that. Thank
And
you.
you've done well at finding the right people to have around you so you can keep on
Yes.
going. I know I saw a post earlier, something that we were talking about analysis paralysis, and I said, "Isn't it great to have a husband who's a cheerleader? Because he's
Yeah.
one too."
Thank you. Well, it's true. That particular post that you made a comment is true because I think when you stop and you analyze it too long, you're definitely going to have some roadblocks. So,
Yeah.
take the roadblocks away and just go for it because it's going to evolve anyway.
It will.
Whatever you think that you're trying to make perfect, even if you launch it, it's going to evolve to something different.
True. Very true.
That is a
And don't
fact.
worry about making that business plan perfect. Like you say, it's going to evolve. It's going to
Always.
change all the time.
Yeah.
We've had situations where here in the RV, people will say, "Oh, where are you going next?" And we think we know. And then all of a sudden, 2 days before we're going to leave, all of a sudden we're going
Bang.
somewhere else.
You're not going there.
It's been crazy like that occasionally. So, yep, you got to pivot.
Well, and in the sailing world, we've learned not to say when we're going to leave because something always comes up. And then
Yep.
you never start a journey on a Friday. I don't know if you heard that, but
I have not heard that. I
yeah,
don't know if
Yeah.
we ever have or
I
not,
don't think
but
we have. No.
probably
yeah,
not.
yeah. In the sailing world, is don't start a journey on a Friday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Janice,
Yes.
and we hope you have a remarkable week. And check out it's janicehurlburt.com, right? That's where
Yeah.
people can find you.
Yeah. Yes.
Check her
Marketing
out, folks.
dash newsletter. Thank you. All right.
All
Well, good
right.
night, everybody.
Take
Good night.
care.
Bye-bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.